All right, hi everybody. We'll go over the release from last Thursday, 27th of June. Let's just jump right in. Skill matching information for scheduling assistant. This is a nice addition to the scheduling assistant where it shows you here at the bottom here, two indicators. We have indicator for no skills and indicator for no availability. So I'm gonna go to July 2nd here. So you see here, Mark Johnson's here is marked with no skills, missing mandatory skill, and missing mandatory skill for Jim here, and George is not available because you can see he's on absence. This is really great for your dispatchers because they no longer have to hover over the engineer's name and check out the skills in the ticket and see which matches. We tell you directly in the scheduling assistant, making scheduling tickets much faster and more proficient. We've also improved the messaging at the top, so we have more error messages that may trigger when something happens. And the popover that popped over before with the potential partner, no longer that blue box is going to pop up here when you open the scheduling assistant. It's just going to be added as an info message. In this case, I don't have that in this instance, but no longer will have that blue bar popping over here. All right, I'm just going to jump right into this here. You may see here we have skills, different color coding for skills now. We introduced color coding for skills or skills in general here, and we had a color code system that wasn't very easy to read. So we improved it now and added tooltips. More importantly, added tooltips so you can see at a glance just by hovering your mouse over the skill, which importance it has. So the light blue is low importance, the darker blue is medium importance, the yellow is high importance, and the orange is mandatory. So that is a nice welcome addition and improvement to the skills. All right, on to the next one. We have updated the email templates page to just templates now, because now you can create ticket info templates as well as email templates. This is just as simple and just as easy to do. You can add a name, you can add multiple projects to it. You can even add multiple ticket info types that you'd like to use the ticket info for. And more importantly, we now include variables. So you can use all of our @ variables to use in your ticket infos as well. So that's a very welcome addition. And obviously no longer do your dispatchers have to spend time trying to pick the right ticket info they need to send. Your administrators can just set up the ticket info templates, and your dispatchers just need to know which ones to use for which situations. So let me show you how to access them here in Workplace. Same as before, you go to the ticket info page here, click on it. Now we include a template dropdown here so you can pick and choose which template you want to use. And if there is multiple ticket info types for this template, they'll be available here, limited to the list that is from the template. So if, for instance, this template can be used for internal infos and for info to customer portal. So in this case, I'm just going to stick with info to customer portal. Or if you want to send, you can send this one to the customer portal, and then you want to send an internal message, you can send an internal message using the same template. You can make adjustments to it as you need it. If you need to make adjustments to it, you can also use aliases here as well if you want to use your variables here, but no longer do your dispatchers have to find which ticket info to use. They can just set it up nicely. We also have a preview section, just like email templates, where you can preview, make sure there's no missing data. As needed, you can preview it and then send it off, and then you're good to go. All right, going back to the admin panel, we have improved lists. The lists we introduced, I think, last release or the release before. And now we have updated the list page a bit, just reorganized the table view a little bit now, just to open down because we introduced versioning this time. So now you see here, I have multiple site lists here. I have the inactive old version and I have the active new version. And you can clearly see which one is the newer version. If I go to device list, I only have the one version, the initial version I uploaded. In the row itself, we have a context menu where you can activate it, you can delete it, you can edit, view it. If you edit, you have the options to edit. Viewing is just going to view with no edit options. So you can view your list as needed before. Now let's go ahead and update the device list here. So you see I have my device list, just two devices here. I have a lot more devices now I want to add to my devices. So you simply click on the context menu in the main bar here, choose upload new version. It already has the list name and the unique column name from the initial site list here. So now I'm just going to choose my file. This device list, open, and then save it. And I warned you it could take you some time to upload it, but this is generally pretty fast. It's pending right now. Let's just try clicking out and clicking in. See if it just, there you go. And now it's ready to go. And instantly I have added 200 rows of new devices. Along that, I'm going to show you another improvement we had where we have improved the loading for long lists on for loading lists with long data, just for the list page here. So as you see, it loaded in right away what's visible right now. So to improve loading of larger lists, we just load up the initial data you see, and as you scroll through, the list will start populating more and more and more as you show what's visible. And once you go all the way down, then all the different information is visible there for lists. All right, so that was really quick and easy. And to upload a list, you simply do the same thing. You go to the plus button, name your list, make sure you have the correct unique column name from your list in here, choose your file, and then save it, and it'll upload the list just as quick as it did updating the list. And obviously, if I want to set this one active now, you just set it to active. It says something inactive, and this will be the list that the workflow will use and check. All right, back to Workplace. So a couple weeks ago, we introduced a new report, Management Insights. You may or may not have experience with this already, but this is just a new report that you can check basically users' actions, the different actions they've taken throughout the selected information here. So in this case, I've added fixed service window 38 times using the scheduling assistant. I've canceled 20 appointments using manual action. I've drag and dropped 4 times. I use optimizer 6 times. This is just for your managers, just to check. It's just a good way to improve productivity for your dispatchers, see what they're doing. Maybe they're clicking too much, moving too much stuff around, publishing, unpublishing too much, whatever the case may be. We have lots of different little graphs here that you can use. I'm not the expert here. I'm sure there are experts that know how to read this well. And this here, we have a dispatch group. These are basically actions for dispatch group, and these are actions for engineers. If you make your way to the manual, you'll find out more information about the new report Management Insights. But what we have added this release is permissions for this Management Insights page. And as always, you can find it here in the security resource area under the component analytics, where we now have permissions to view the insights page, the Management Insights page. Great. And staying in the admin panel, system connections got some love this release. So now I've set up my system connection here. I have my system, I have my permissions, I have my security configuration, and now I'm ready to map out my connection to my external interface. As before, we had this WYSIWYG mapping connection here. So you select your action, and then you go into your WYSIWYG mapping where you can do it like this. We now offer you an expert mode that you can just simply switch it here. We warn you that once you do switch to expert mode, it is irreversible. Are you sure you want to switch? You can confirm it here, and that will happen once you hit save. Once you hit save, then it'll be locked in this view for your experts in programming and all that mapping stuff. They can use this. This is using the Python language. It's a limited language we have for ourselves. As you can see, we have our own functions and data types. You can go to the manual to get all the different definitions of these functions, global functions, different interface modules, datetime modules, as you need. Use our manual, learn it. This is really cool for the guys that want to just do it themselves. All right. Sometimes it's a case where the FMA users get stuck, and let's say they're using the app and there's a button missing, or there's faulty data or something like that. And the case was always that we had to contact, the engineer would have to contact support. Support would then have to contact our developers. They'd have to reset something in the back end, and then the user could use their app again. That's no longer the case. Now, engineer can just simply contact their administrator. Hey, my FMA's, something's wrong. Can you reset it? So now you can go directly to a user and simply reset the FMA for the user directly in the admin panel. Simply clicking on that button, We just warn you that if you're sure you want to do this, because it clears and updates all FMA data for the user, all unsynchronized FMA changes will be lost. Make sure the engineer is aware before you do this. So this is a really cool feature that you can fix without support from Fieldcode directly. All right, moving back to Workplace. We have improved a bit of the timeline. So as you know, sometimes it's a case where some engineers have a lot of skills, and when you're hovering over the engineer name, you may not be able to see all the information. So in this case here, you see I have lots of skills, and now we added a scroll bar. Before it was not visible, it was just kind of hidden behind this popover. We've added a scroll bar for those engineers that have a lot of information showing on their popover, where you can scroll up and down and see it. And the same applies to the map here. We have added the scroll bar here as well, so you can simply scroll up and down through the engineer's details in the popover. My favorite one of the release is the popover for tickets. Before, it wasn't ideal. You're scanning over tickets and the popover would pop up. As you can see now, I'm scanning over tickets and nothing is popping up until you hover over for a little bit longer, and then you get your pop-up. This makes your dispatcher's job of looking at tickets, one is select the right ticket or right-click on a ticket without the popover popping up. So this is an excellent quality of life improvement for the timeline. That's excellent. Just some other mentions here. Partner portal page has got a little bit of love. Where to put it? Here's now the partner portal page now includes the external status field and the tracking link field. So every partner portal page will have these two fields available for your engineers to look at, so they can get the tracking link and get the external status of the parts needed. All right, now I'm going to make my way to the FMA. We got some FMA updates here. So first things first, Android. Last month we introduced autofill credentials for iOS. This month Android's been ready. So as you see here, it already has my information saved. So instead of filling out my email and filling out my password, I can just simply, upon filling it out for the first time, save it, in this case under Google. So I saved it, select it, automatically fills in your email and password. And then since I have a multi-account, I have to put in my account I'm trying to access here. All right, so now I'm in. All right, so FMA got some love. First one here, we now have the ability to rename attachments directly in the app. Last release, we introduced rename attachments from Workplace. Now the engineers can rename them as they put them into the system. So let me just show an example. So here I'm going to take a picture, select it, and as I select it here right away, I can rename it to whatever I need to. And then save it, make sure it's good, and then upload it. And then it's good to go. Same applies to iOS. You go down to iOS, go to attachments, add file. Take your photo, ask you to name it. And then save it. The iOS has the further option to rename it after you, before you upload it to the server. You can rename it again if you made a mistake here, so you can simply rename it if you need to in iOS, and then you can upload it. Then you can't rename it no more. All right. My favorite one for the FMA release is the map view. So now let's go to Android first. So now in map view, before, it was always the case that you saw every ticket for every day that was published to the FMA. As you can see now, I'm just looking at July 1st, so I don't have any tickets for today. But if I go to tomorrow, or first let's go to all. So now I see all tickets that are published to my FMA account. Now I just want to see tomorrow's because that's when I start tomorrow. So now I can reduce the list to tomorrow or to any day I need to, reduce the list to, and just see the tickets on the map for the selected date. So that is a game changer. I think your engineers will really love that option. And same applies to iOS here. Works a little differently, but no. Go here. You want to go to layout, go to map, and automatically it's going to show you all the appointments on the map. It filtered by date here. It's just going to select today automatically. And then same as before, click on the date you want to view, click out, and you can see all the appointments for the day you selected really easily right on the map. And you can view them as needed as before. So I think that is a nice quality of improvement for your engineers. And I think they'll love that. I look forward to the feedback from the engineers on that one. All right, another good one. Report form. So before you're filling out your report, we had the work form here. And as you were typing, before, the report form didn't follow you. And as you can see, as I'm typing, the report form, everything is visible. Everything you're typing is visible within the report form. That was not the case before. That now works. And I think, again, the engineer is going to love that. Same works in iOS. You start filling out your form here. You can start, and it follows it down. It's no longer getting lost in the text and having to scroll up and figure out what's going on. So that is excellent. All right, that's what we got for FMA. Going back to some notable fixes. Driving duration and estimated duration in forms will no longer accept negative values. There was just some issues of negative values showing up in these fields. That is no longer the case. So you'll receive an error message if a negative value is in there. So you won't be able to do it. Call log settings, we fixed call log settings can be found in project page. So in project, we have these call log settings here, right? And you could put in waiting duration for you want to put in the clipboard, and minutes work just fine. There were some issues with hours and days not calculating correctly. That is no longer the case. So if you want to use hours and you want to use days, they will work and they will work correctly. All calculations have been improved and fixed. So hours, days will work just like minutes as expected. Another good one, closed and canceled tickets will now remain active for 30 days after cancellation or closure. What does that mean? That means that you can continue adding ticket infos, updating the history, making sure that everything's done after closure, making sure that your dispatcher needs to work on other stuff after the ticket is closed or whatever. You can still cancel, add ticket infos, and it'll update the history. So you won't no longer lose any kind of history on that ticket up to 30 days after cancellation or closure. All right, so that concludes the release notes for the 27th of June.